opportunities safely at your fingertips.
All right, we're streaming now. And we're going live. Studio. You're listening to Smooth, the 98.1 Love Music, Love Live. Good morning to you and welcome back. This is Smooth Breakfast. My name is Judith Atibi and this officially welcomes you to Business Express 981. Remember that Business Express is brought to you by ARM Securities. Joining me live today via Zoom is Rotus. Rotus, good morning to you.
Good morning, Judith. Good morning to all our listeners, and good morning to our special guest from ARM.
Indeed. Yes. We have with us, joining us, an analyst from ARM Securities, Mustapha Alao. Mustapha, good morning. Mustapha, are you there?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, great. Rotus.
Yes.
Yeah, you can. We're streaming live on YouTube, by the way.
Morning.
So, yes, the network's a bit slow, but we're streaming live on YouTube. So go on to YouTube at Smooth981. You can also join the conversation. Send us a WhatsApp message to 0809-444-0981. Again, 0809-444-0981. Rotus.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Mustapha Alao is an analyst with ARM Securities. Yeah, Mustapha, I might need to check your connection a bit, having a bit of trouble hearing you and seeing you. So maybe we'll just check that connection. But to begin with, it looks like oil markets have rebounded with respect to the volatility and worries that we've seen from the Omicron COVID variant. Mustapha, what's your take? How would you interpret the rebound in the oil markets that we've seen? I think oil is Brent crude is at $73.97 a barrel, so up by 0.72%, which is not much, but it's still positive. How would you interpret it?
Well, I mean, what we saw was something that we see if we look at a historical trend of oil prices and just generally commodities. And there's this initial reaction, especially when it's not a factor that has been considered by traders beforehand. So what we'd see is that along the line of earlier this year, we saw oil prices on the upward trajectory, despite the things that were happening in France, despite new variants of the COVID virus, coming in. However, the Omicron virus was not something that was really expected. So what we saw was that we saw an initial reaction from participants in the markets. However, us now seeing this climb back in prices, this rebound of over 5%, is sort of like a manifestation of the fact that the oil market participants agree that the price collapse that we saw on Friday, which many are tagging as a Black Friday drop, was an overreaction, right? So them also recognizing the fact that OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, could even counter it by taking some action by maybe pausing production increases and so on and so forth. So it was just like a general agreement amongst oil market participants that it was an overreaction. So that's how we saw prices climbing back up, and we saw the fears that related to the Omicron virus and its impact on the COVID-19 on the oil markets being eased. So we saw fears of that being eased, and that's what led to the rebound.
Great stuff. So is this our new normal where virus mutations can cause market volatility? Is that where we are now?
Yes, I mean, that's always been the case. I mean, if we're going to be talking about COVID-19 in particular, I mean, if you think about when was the last pandemic that we had, would say, okay, if you look at the influenza virus, right? The influenza virus came in about the 1920s, about that time, and now it's not seen as a pandemic anymore, even though we're seeing significant amounts of deaths that are being caused by this virus till today, till this very day. But that's not really impacting the oil markets, for example, is it? But many people are now saying that we're basically in a post-COVID era. We're basically in post-COVID times because a lot of these things that the COVID-19 virus, impacts from an economic standpoint, they've already been factored in. They've already been taken into account by many of these traders. Even this Omicron virus, like I said, a lot of these traders, they saw it as an overreaction. So we're basically in a post-COVID era, right? And this is basically the new norm. People are going to be working virtually. We're already seeing efforts being made in certain states in Nigeria to be able to improve that. And this is how it's going to be now. And this is how oil markets are going to react and rebound from it moving forward.
Great stuff. So today is the last day in November. We're practically, into the final month of the year as from tomorrow. How do you think end of year festivities will be impacted by the variant and even cooking gas prices?
Well, I think it's going to have little impact. A lot of the plans that are being set in place, especially in our own country here in Nigeria, I think they're going to go ahead. I think significant efforts are being made by governments, like in South Africa, in the US, to contain that strain of the virus, from spreading further. And it's a good thing that has been recognized at this early time. But I think things are going to go on as planned, for this festive period. And in terms of prices of cooking gas and so on, I think it's almost inevitable that it's going to continue to be on the rise, because even if you look at global gas prices, we're seeing that that's on the rise. Core inflation is taking the big hits here in Nigeria, and I think for how the Omicron virus is going to relate to that is going to have little impact, like I said earlier, but festivities are still on course for December this year.
Great stuff. I want to move to mining, Nigeria's mining sector. There's a new fire assay laboratory and earthquake monitoring center in Kaduna State, which the Minister of Mines and Steels, Minister Adegbite, is saying will allow FDI to come into Nigeria based on this. Well, what do you make of this new laboratory, first of all?
Yeah, it's definitely a good step in the right direction, because if there's something that even the layman in Nigeria has been basically clamoring for, is for the Nigerian economy to be more diverse. We're focusing so much on one commodity, which is oil, and we need to diverse our economy in order to benefit from different sectors like mining now. So us having this laboratory now is definitely a good step in the right direction, and could possibly raise some green flags to potential investors going forward. But looking at how the mining sector has basically been contributing to the Nigerian economy, despite the widespread economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic that was so, especially in 2020, the mining sector has exceeded budgeted revenue for the federal government last year. It exceeded it by about 10%. It was expected about 1.9 billion naira, but it came in at 2.09 billion naira, and it's increased contributions to the country's GDP as well. It came in at 23%. And if you look at the year before that, it came in less than that. It came in even about close to half of that. So there's definitely a trend of growth in that sector, and this lab coming on course is definitely acknowledging that and in the right direction of basically expanding that sector.
Great stuff. Speaking of going in the right direction, what do you think Nigeria's mining sector needs at this point?
I think one significant thing that the mining sector needs, because I would say that's one thing that's helped the mining sector to see the growth that I mentioned earlier, is the fact that we saw some level of increase in infrastructure development, because a huge part of what contributed to our mining is quarrying activities, which comprise of sand, gravel, crushed rocks like limestone for producing cement, right? So this increase is indicative of an improvement or an increase in construction activities across the country, as well as an increase in export of clinkers, which is manufactured by limestone. So as we go forward, Nigeria is a frontier market. Many call it emerging market. It's important that we continue to put in as much effort or even increased effort into developing our infrastructure. And what we'll see is that being reflected onto our mining sector, and that could, we could see more eyes being attracted to the industry. I mean, we saw announcements being made by by the Nigerian government that the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, were looking to invest billions of dollars into the Nigerian mining sector. So meaning that this potential is not just seen by Nigeria as well, it's seen globally. So us continuing to move in this direction by setting up state-of-the-art facilities in order for us to have a robust mining sector, and for us to also set up the regulations, put the regulations in place so that investors would be less hesitant to come to our industry. There's something that I would point out during the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo, between his tenure in 1999-2003. That was something he worked on, to help improve the regulation within that sector, and that was what led to the increase. We saw an increase in over 20% in terms of activity within the mining sector. So us continuing on that trajectory would be very beneficial for the mining sector.
Great stuff. While we're still in Kaduna, I understand that as of December 1st, I think you made a reference to it earlier when you were talking about the new normal. Kaduna is moving to a 4-day work week, effective tomorrow for their civil servants. What do you make of that? Do you think it'll achieve its goals? They're talking about work-life balance, more productivity, and so on.
Well, I'm a very big proponent, a very big champion of output. So if the Kaduna government has looked at it and seen that the outputs that they require from the civil servants, they can achieve that in 4 days, in a 4 working day, then that's good, because what that would do is then it would then allow for more time for these people to engage in probably subsistence farming and other activities, because we're living in a country now, in an economy whereby we need as many hands on deck, in essential industries. And one of it is the agricultural industries. And this is something that was pointed out by the Kaduna State government. So as to one of the reasons why they want to, have people working 4 days a week. And also what it will do is that will lead to an increase or an improvement in the widespread of adoption of technologies. So if we have more people working from home, because I believe they're not just going to be them sitting idly by, on the days that they're not going to the offices, people working from home, what that would do is that it will lead them to adopt this technology. A good example is Zoom, for example, virtual networking. A lot of people who didn't use that before the advent of the COVID-19 virus started to use that, and what that did is that it led to them, and this will be beneficial for Nigerians, led to them adopting more technology and ultimately them becoming part of the official sector. So if we have things like the e-Naira coming on board now, and we need more people to adopt technologies like this will be a good thing, in them being accustomed to technology, and we could see them coming into the bank sector, we'll see them coming to the official sector.
Great
All right,
stuff.
we have
Thank you, Mustapha. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we have messages as we leave the studio because we're pretty much out of time. This is Benga Kamuani is here with a question. What is happening to gold mined in Zamfara? How much is it contributing to national purse? That's from Benga Kamude. Ogene Ochuku goes, Omicron virus. I think you mean virant and not virus. I believe won't cause major impact in the market, only for a short term for smart investors, smash, grab, and get out of the market. This is Michael in Gidi. I think that's Dr. Michael Gidi. And he goes, good morning, Rotus. Please, in your opinion, will this Omicron variant affect dollar increase at the parallel market? Will it decrease it in the light of US oil release? Please help us understand more of the FX market in Nigeria in the light of US oil release and Omicron virus. And this is Yinka. He goes, I don't understand this Kaduna 4 working days a week. I beg, when they were on 5 days, how productive were they? Those who claim to work from home, I beg, what are they using? How's internet connectivity in Kaduna? That's from me and there.
Mustapha, very quickly, the dollar, the FX question, you want to take a stab at it. Will the Omicron variant affect FX supply?
Well, I mean, you could say to some extent, because I mean, what will happen is that if the Omicron virus, mutates and it spread further, we could see some key countries which import our crude oil start to have lockdowns in place, and that would limit our effects from that avenue. So yes, it could be bad news, but what we're saying and what we said earlier in this segment is that we don't see the Omicron virus significantly having that sort of impact like the Delta variant did, whereby it shuts down France, it shut down places in Europe, and that led to a significant reduction in consumption of crude oil. So if that's the case, then we shouldn't see that much of a significant negative impact on our FX in terms of how the virus impacts that. So I hope that answers this question.
It should. It makes sense. Mustapha Alao, analyst with ARM Securities. You guys check out the ARM stock trade app if you want to participate in the markets through ARM. Mustapha, thank you so much for your time. And thanks everybody for your messages.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Judith.
Thank you so much for joining.